Human anatomy is truly a thing of wonder, as is human biology. In fact, all biology. There are over 100 trillion bacteria alive and hopefully thriving within your gut microbiota. And they are there to work on your behalf. Remember that 70% of the immune function is derived from the gut, and the human gut is the center of the human universe. And when it comes to absorption of nutrients, the handling, the processes, and of all those things that your body needs to utilize, well, this is the hotspot, and therefore it is the center of health. And everything we consume has either a positive or a negative impact on that space. You have to recognize that this space is diverse. It has its own ecology. It truly is like a functioning tropical rainforest, and its whole ecosystem is based on balance. And so we talk about good and bad gut bacteria. The truth is that there is a ratio to be maintained, and we need to have equal amounts from a functional point of view of both. So there are good and bad, but what we need is not to eradicate any type. We want to nurture and make sure that they all flourish at the right rate. And the way to do this is to feed them with what they need. Just like you or I, they need to be fed with the essential nutrients they need in order for them to multiply and to occupy that space and work on your behalf. And what do they need? Primarily, they need dietary fibers. And we put this into the category of prebiotics. So these prebiotics, these dietary fibers, they feed that 100 trillion colony of remarkable microbes and bacteria that want to function on your behalf and optimize your health. The difference between a prebiotic and a probiotic, and there's a lot of attention on probiotics, is a prebiotic feeds those bacteria. A probiotic, which its early roots go back to fermented vegetables, and we look at things like kombucha and yogurts and kefir. Well, these probiotics, and there are even probiotics that we can buy now as live bacterial cultures, they replace. And I always think that's a crazy response to the problem that you have. Why not feed what you have, nurture what you have, and encourage that to grow? I do think there's a place for probiotics, but I think the essential space is prebiotics and those dietary fibers. And you have to recognize that, again, diversity is key. So different types of dietary fibers play a part in different parts of that digestive tract. And so you have to recognize that this is the microbiome of the gut. But there are several microbiomes all over the body. They cover different regions of your kind of human landscape. And you have a microbiome in the mouth. And this is the first port of call. When you bite into the apple, that sends a message to the receptors in the gut that says, hey, fiber is coming your way. Vitamin C is coming your way. There's going to be dietary hydration. It's all coming your way, and get ready to take your place at the table, because here comes the feast. And that message is what we call the food matrix. And so when we start to look at really intelligent supplementation, when we start to look at intelligent fiber supplementation, you have to consider that it's not a one shot. You need to have a broad spread of fibers in order to address all those different people who are sat at that gut microbiota table. In fact, imagine this. You've gone to your favorite sushi restaurant and you're all sat around the table with your family and friends, and the dishes are coming down and you each have a preference of what you'd like. And so you might be the first in line, but you don't like the first dish. You're waiting for the one that comes third or fourth, whereas your brother or sister further down the table, they're waiting for that first dish. And that's when we look at the different roles that we have of different types of fibers, whether they're insoluble, soluble fibers, and we'll come to beta-glucans in a moment. Each person, each receptor, each of those colonies of bacteria, they're waiting for their dish to arrive. So if you address that problem with only one or two type of fiber, you're only feeding 2 out of 10 people at the table. That's not the intelligent way to do it. Typically in our diet, we get those dietary fibers from things like, well, we can get it from bread, we can get it from oats, we can get it from fruits, we get it from vegetables, those dark leafy greens. And we know that all around the world, people consume less of those foods. And we encourage people to increase their consumption of them. But in the meantime, let's get real about the solution. And that's what we did when we developed ZINOBIOTIC. It is a dietary blend of fibers But one of the key aspects comes back to that beta-glucan. So beta-glucan itself functions in a similar way as those fibers. It's a great way to control blood sugar and insulin response. But one of the magical aspects of the beta-glucan is that it primes the immune system without an inflammatory curve. So what happens is that the introduction of the beta-glucan really switches the immune system on, primes it up. And why is that a good thing? Because when the immune system is activated in that way, it's better ready to draw down the nutrients it needs in order for it to function. Beta-glucans are a secret part of the phenomenal success that we see with individuals in their hundreds of thousands all around the world when they switch to using Zinobiotic. Any investment in your gut is an investment in your health. And when it comes to topping up those requirements of dietary fibers, and recognize the statistics tell us that the average person all around the world takes on board less than 50% of the recommended intake of dietary fibers on a daily basis, and how hardwired these fibers are into the preservation and optimization of your health, Zinobiotic is a solution that is unparalleled. It addresses all those needs. It feeds all those people around the table and ensures that your immune function is enabled to do everything it needs to do to optimize you.